Regarding kasi, di ba parang 79% of Filipinos na respondents dun sa data, dun sa survey, said na ang gusto nila is yung simple and comfortable life. Hindi ba yun parang medyo mababa na pangarap para sa Pinoy?
Yeah, actually kaya rin inelaborate namin kung ano ibig sabihin nung maginhawa, simple at maginhawa na buhay. So if you would note, it's actually a middle class lifestyle because simple, but they want their own car. They also want their own house. They want enough finances for their needs and unexpected expenses. Tapos they want to go on trips, vacation. Then they want the kids to finish college. So, siguro yun yung kanilang iba-iba yung kumbaga yung akala natin iba yung intindi natin sa simple Pero when we ask them to elaborate, what it turns out is it's really a middle class lifestyle.
So, hindi ba yun reflection na parang are things so bad that we can only aspire for that kind of level of income in 25 years?
In part, yes, because we all know from these statistics that there's still some ways to go, and we keep repeating that regardless of the progress that has been made, and we recognize that progress has been made, there's still a lot of catching up to do. So I would say yes, and it's also in a way influenced by the what they experience on a daily basis. So the aspiration naturally is the opposite of that. To be able to free oneself from those constraints that make living a daily struggle.
Our next question is from Dana Batnag.
Middle class lifestyle lang ang aspiration ng majority ng Filipinos. I want to conquer the world. I want to be a person develop that. That's what is, ang kino-communicate namin is actually the result of the survey. We do realize, however, that this can change over time. So, like we said earlier, as we progress as a country, magbabago rin tong aspirations na to. Siguro ngayon, dahil nandito pa tayo, lower middle income country, so ang aspiration is, be better. But once we have reached that tipping point, we get to the upper middle income country, so mas tataas ulit ang aspiration. But as of now, yun ang lumalabas sa survey natin.
Would you say the $11,000 per capita income is that middle class or is that
Actually upper. That's a high income country.
So, ang aspiration natin is only middle income. How do we get to higher upper income?
Yeah. Kaya like I said, this will be done in stages. May phases tayo dito, and most probably after 10 years we will do another survey and find out kung maitataas pa natin. Kasi yung $11,000 na yon na per capita income, that is for year 2040. Remember yung kaninang simulation, back of the envelope simulation ni Professor Ducanes, he's saying that we can actually reach that upper middle income country by 2030. It's very, very, very achievable. So most probably when we get there, we'll have to do this exercise again and find out kung naitaas na natin.
Melo Acuña.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My question is something to do with where are we today and how far is the gap from where we are to our aspiration for 2040? And what constraints have we?
Well, in the slides that we showed earlier, today we're at about $3,500 per capita. So that's some ways, and remember we were that's 2014, right? Which we got, which is the data comparable with Malaysia's 11,000. So just between the 3,500 and the 11,000, we really have some ways to go, and that really requires a lot of catching up in terms of investment in physical capital as well as in human capital.
So would you say that the findings you have today is an indictment of the lack of basic government services? That's why people want to have cars rather than take mass transport and the like.
An indictment? We need to take a look at where we were before, right? But there is no denying that there are still some problems, in a way, big problems with respect to the kind of services that are, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that people prefer to have their own means of transportation is a reflection of the fact that they don't have a very good experience with public transportation. But then again, while we say that the vision is for 2040, we're not necessarily saying that you need to wait for 2040 to be able to put certain things in place, because there are things that can be done, some sooner than later, all right? But, given the enormity of the challenge, there are, aspects there of that set of aspirations, which cannot be done overnight, which cannot be done simultaneously. Some would involve trade-offs, and therefore the challenge is really to be able to translate these aspirations into goals, specific goals, or specific policies and strategies that can be achieved in the short term and progressively towards the larger the attainment of the overall vision.
Are you optimistic that the next governments would also share and consider Ambition 2040? In the first place, what we have are medium-term development programs, and nobody talks of long-term development programs. You want FDIs to come, but there is electric power shortage. So would you be more specific, Mr. Secretary, as to the some ways to go? What specifics need to be done?
The reason why we wanted to put this Ambition 2040 first is so that, having a long-term goal, the successive medium-term development plans would be anchored on something that is more long-term. And that will ensure that the momentum will not be lost. As to successive administrations buying into this vision, there is really, the more important challenge there is for uninformed citizenry that believes in this vision to present these as their own to governments, to succeeding administrations, and be able to lobby, as it were, for programs and policies that will contribute to the attainment of these long-term goals.
Secretary, we were just at Asian Development Bank earlier today, and it was mentioned that while poverty has been reduced, poverty rate still remains high, as unemployment is for the young people, which is more than the national average. What do you have to say about this?
It's still high.
And that's it.
And we need to do something about it.
Okay, next question, Bimbo Santos.
We're connected to the previous query. Would you say, sir, that one reason also that why so many are poor is that their bar has been low in terms of aspirations?
Rose.
I don't know, maybe you can venture.
Yeah, parang you're letting the cart pull the horse. Magkaiba yata talaga yon. Kasi aspiration is really, really forward-looking. And the reason for the low aspiration, so to speak, is really because of the very low condition they are in. Now, what will immediately happen after this is that we will actually be translating this into anong klaseng income ba ang how much income are we talking about for a person to be able to own a car, to be able to own a house and lot, to be able to send their children to college. So ita-translate namin into pesos and centavos, and then find out what is the corresponding growth rate na kailangan natin as a country. And then for the very, very bottom, ano yung dapat na marating nila. So ito yung magiging of course there will be many strategies and there are several also policies that need to be ironed out. For instance, with respect to home ownership lang, kailangan natin ng mga andaming ayusin na regulatory framework, beginning with the land use planning, yung mga ganitong, ito yung mga concrete steps. So, kumbaga, given na ito yung nabigay sa atin na aspirations, although you say that it's pretty low, but let's work on it. And then, once we have achieved, I don't know kung ilang percentage of this one, then let's do the exercise again and find out, tumaas na ba ulit? Paano na ba ngayon? Ganun ang Kasi kahit nasabihin natin na very, very low ito, ilan ba ang merong sasakyan? Ilan ba ang merong di ba? So, ito muna ang natin, abutin natin.
Follow up, ma'am.
Miss Dana, okay. Follow up. Bimbo.
Ma'am, issue rin ba, ma'am, yung about just 16.9% are keen on being entrepreneurs? Would you say that that's also something that we have to work on in terms of broadening the entrepreneurial class?
Actually, hindi 16.9. Kasi when we ask them, yung sa class of worker, anong gusto nilang class of worker na maging sila, mas malaki. 47% want to be an employer. Okay? 22% want to be self-employed, and 18% want to work in their own business, in a family business. So mataas actually ang ang drive towards entrepreneurship. So I think going forward, this is something that we have to provide the enabling conditions for this. We're talking about skills training, we're talking about yung mga business skills development, we're talking about innovation, we're talking about setting the conditions para mas mabilis ang pag-startup ng business. So many things need to happen. Pero all this will be, all these are, kumbaga, we heard them. Ito na yung ito pala yung gusto nilang mangyari. Marami palang gustong mag-entrepreneur. So, let's make it happen. We're also talking about inclusive finance. Ito yung mga bagay na na dapat mga sunod-sunod na mga strategies na dapat magawa.
Okay, Ms. Dana Batnag.
I wanted to ask, ano yung mga outlier questions? Kasi majority wanted a middle class lifestyle and then some wanted to be rich. Ano yung mga minorities? Wala na less than between rich and middle class. What do they want for themselves?
It's just the three categories.
They have to choose between the three.
Yes.
Hindi siya
Yun.
open-ended.
Hindi. For that particular question, ano siya?
And can we get some of the raw data? Kasi we wanted to see per region, meron bang mga majority sa region? Yes.
Pag na ayos namin yung forma, medyo technical lang yung itsura ngayon kasi ng mga tables. Pag naayos namin ang forma ng mga tables, this will be uploaded on our website and you are welcome to look.
In fact, most of the data are still being processed kasi 10,000 kalaki yung sample. And well, as Rose said, as more is processed, we will be uploading them on the NEDA website ba? Or is there a special
Yes.
website for Ambisyon?
2040.neda.gov.ph.
Right now, would you know, may mga regions na mas mayaman, like NCR for example. Ano yung aspirations nila compared sa aspirations ng ARMM for example? Pero,
Would you give us?
We don't have the details, but those information are available. And then when we flesh out the PDP and the mga companion regional development plan, lahat ng mga information na to ida-download din namin sa mga regional offices namin. Mga kailan daw? Director Ray? One month siguro?
Next, Sky.
Ma'am, curious lang kasi hindi ba concern yon na parang the data comes at a time na nagsistart na election campaign and everything. Hindi ba parang maybe ma-taint na or the next administration, whoever they may be, baka parang mas maging averse to following the data or maybe mag-cast sila ng doubt on the data tapos the succeeding efforts. Isn't that a concern? Kasi parang shouldn't we have done this earlier?
Or can I add to the question?
Yes, sir.
Is this, there's a possibility that some would consider this a silent endorsement of the status quo.
I will answer yung kay's question. Sa kanya yung mas mahirap. We were very careful of that. Yeah. Actually, ang talagang timeline nito is we were supposed to have this launch late last year. Diba? November, I think, ang pangarap pa nga natin. You know? Kaso, syempre, as you know, we were overtaken by events, matagal ang procurement ng survey. So, tapos nung finally, we were able to commission the survey Christmas season. And we do not conduct surveys during Christmas season kasi ibang framing ng mga tao. So we had to wait until that is finished. But that is also the reason why we were careful that this is really just a vision and not a plan. It's a long-term vision, it's not a long-term plan. Yung long-term plan kasi, dito na papasok yung strategies, mga legislative agenda mo, mga programs and projects mo. Dito na yon, dito na natin yung pagbubunuan. Pero, this is a vision. Kaya nga, ang sinashare din namin is that this is based on nationwide consultation, so many focus group discussions, so many respondents. Pagkatapos meron pa tong advisory committee, yung mga gano'n na hindi kami ang nagsasabi nito, it's really the voice of the people. Doon sa question ni Sir Sekmania.
Yeah, I think you partly answered that because the question was, isn't there any danger of this being interpreted as an indictment of as a as an endorsement, as an endorsement of the status quo. With the kinds of responses that we got, and in fact you yourselves drew the inference that if this is what people aspire for, na ganito lang kababa, doesn't that mean na talagang napakasama ng... And we're saying, one, we need to be aware of the fact na there is also a certain history to this. So meron itong pinanggalingan, no? And we are not where we are today in terms of the recognition that the country is getting in terms of being labeled the new rising star in Asia, right? If it were not for some of the progress that has been made in several areas. But, and this is a big but, we hasten to add that precisely there is still a long way to go, right? If we look at ourselves relative to Malaysia, again, kasi yun yung parang concrete illustration ng what $11,000 per capita income implies, no? That's Malaysia in 2014. Philippines is $3,500 in 2014, right? So yung hahabulin natin na yun, right, is really a big a big step to take, and that's not going to be done overnight. And so what we're saying is that this is a vision, it's a long-term goal, and there are many pathways towards that vision. We leave it to the next administration and succeeding administrations after that, how they would craft the plan, how they would strategize to be able to reach that goal. The idea of the vision is so that we as a nation, especially our leaders, are focused on something, and that is what we described earlier as a simple, comfortable, and resilient situation, no? or way of life. So what I wanted to add is that aside from the results of the survey, there are several thematic papers to accompany this vision exercise. There are, in fact, that is not an exhaustive list. As we move along, there may be other areas that need to be studied. And as was described earlier, those papers are not prescriptive. In fact, the writers try their best not to sound prescriptive or be prescriptive. The whole idea being to simply to pose the question, if this is the long-term vision, what do we do? For example, in the education paper, what do we do with education? What do we do with health? How do we plan out the energy security so that by 2040 we will be able to achieve those goals? And I invite you to attend the seminar tomorrow, because the the UP School of Economics there are about 4 or 5 uh, authors in there who are part of the group that wrote uh, uh, the thematic papers on energy, and they will be presenting the results of their study. The idea with those papers is to consider several options and to say that, if you follow this option, then getting to where you want to be by 2040 may take longer, may cost more, may have certain consequences on the environment versus, if you take this alternative path. So basically, that's the way that the question of how to reach the 2040 goal is being addressed. Sa School of Economics sa Diliman. Paki-check na lang ng website nila.
Sir, let me just ask you another question. This has something to do with becoming leadership. How optimistic are we? Because chances are there have been persistent rumors and reports that businessmen are funding the presidential candidates. So, how do we get them to be concerned with the findings of the survey when in fact they and their patrons would be concerned more of their ROIs? If we look at the way campaigns today are being made, then you can imagine money being spent. And even ADB mentioned that in previous elections. They have seen movements in the mass media and transport because of the election season. So if you have the same situation today, how optimistic are you that the next governments will be considering the findings of the survey?
Well, that's why we need to build a broad constituency.
Chair, yes, ma'am.
And if I may add as well, no? So this is also, parang this is the first time that we have asked people to characterize what well-being means to them in very concrete terms. Diba? Yun talagang very relevant to them. So, nai-spell out natin yon. So, what we want to happen from here on is that yung mga programs and projects will all be evaluated against this benchmark or this barometer. Will it lead to the realization of this definition nila ng well-being? So, and like Sec Manny said, that's the reason why we want really to build a constituency for the vision. That's why we have medyo very broad na communication strategy. We have the ongoing social media campaign, and going towards the end of the year, marami pang magiging consultation yan. Even as we flesh out the Philippine Development Plan, magkakaroon pa rin ng uumpisahan with the vision, trying to find out if this is something that they own. And then, given that, i-add din namin out in the open yung mga thematic studies because, like we said earlier, it actually talks about options and pointing out benefits and costs of each option, trade-offs. Pero kailangan mapag-usapan to. Alin dito ang pipiliin natin. Yan. our task is to make sure na yung ating mga policy makers are informed, well informed about ano yung mga consequences. If we do this, will we attain the vision? If we do this, anong sektor ang hindi makaka-attain ng kanilang aspiration?
Charissa Valencia from Philippine Star.
Kailan po natin sinimulan yung conduct of interviews and kailan po natapos yung conduct?
For the FGDs, we started in June of last year. Hindi, tama, June, yeah. Pero yung conceptualization happened April, March pa yata yung conceptualization niya. Tapos yung mga thematic papers actually started also last year. After the consultations were done, the FGDs were done, then we had to process muna. And then from there, nagkaroon muna ng construction of the questionnaire. And then eventually, the survey was conducted in January until end of Feb. First week of Feb. Yeah.
Also, ma'am, by using the year 2040, can we say that with the right policies in place, these aspirations contained in the study can be realized within a generation? Can we totally say that? That's putting it in simple terms, but
Yeah, I think the 2040 was set because parang di ba the notional about a generation is 25 years. So that was how the 2040 was determined.
These are aspirations, no vision. So what needs to happen next is really to translate this into goals, targets, and then yung mga milestones na we want to be achieved by each administration thereafter. What we hope to happen is that all these milestones will be agreed upon now. Okay? And then parang basta kasi we really need that something like the SDG, yeah, so by 2030 mga ganyan tipo. So we will set those milestones. Will it be achieved in a generation? We hope so, but a lot needs to happen.
Next, Keith Mariano from Business World.
I understand that this is supposed to guide the policy moving forward, but is it necessary to satisfy all these aspirations the way people wanted it? Because, for example, owning a car over a more efficient public transportation system, will we allow them, or will we relax rules just for them to get cars, or will we prioritize this over the environmental sense, because that could impact the environment, that would also affect traffic. So will we...
Yun na nga yung sinasabi ko kanina that we start with this and accept them as the people's aspirations. And then we understand where that is coming from. And I think to a large degree that's coming from present day experience. But that can change if, for example, in the very in the very near future, efficient public transportation can be provided and people are happy with it. Then even their aspiration for one car per family may change, right? In other countries, the efficiency of taking public transportation has actually made owning a car a very expensive option, right? So things evolve, and the point in having this, going through the FGDs and going through the surveys is just to understand, the what, the kind of life that it's a good principle to start from that point and to understand where those sentiments are coming from. And then once this is understood, we try to address them. Maybe not directly, right? Maybe as efficient public transportation becomes available and is shown to be cheaper, people will not choose the more costly alternative of owning a vehicle or a car. So things will change definitely between 2016 and 2040. And we need to be, and that is the reason why, again, during the presentation earlier, we said, while we are keen on being able to sustain the momentum, we also want to be flexible with the kinds of strategies that we will be coming up with. I think that is the task of leadership.
Sir, how often do you think it should be updated or revisited? Should there be a periodic review or?
Maybe at the end of every development plan, actually in our system of development planning, right? We have a 6-year development plan that coincides with the term of an administration, but we do a midterm update. All right. So these are junctures at which we can do an assessment and see how fast we're going or how far behind we are and make the necessary adjustments. That's why I think the comment earlier about having good data to be able to monitor progress, again, is a very important ingredient in this whole effort.
Ben De Vera first of Inquirer.
It was pointed out by Ma'am Rose that it's a vision, and then, of course, responding to the previous questions, Rosemarie, you mentioned that it should be in terms of policy development, it should be flexible so that it could be adjusted by whatever administration is sitting in power. But then, don't you think it's also high time that parallel to this vision, we also have a longer-term plan, which will be an umbrella or which should guide them so that, because there are also dangers, of course, that they could be, we have this vision, but then some administration may not really adhere to this or follow this, depending on what they really want during their term. So, do you think probably a long-term vision with a long-term plan would work better, and then they could just adjust them, or they would be given flexibility to adjust whenever their specific goals?
Well, that's correct. But and this is where, that's why we were careful with our choice of words, vision, long-term plan, etc. Because long-term plan actually already involves trying to put some details into what you're going to do. All right. As long as there is the understanding that this can be changed as conditions change, then I think that's all right. But maybe we need to take a look at what our experience has been, right? With respect to long-term plans, and what happened to those long-term plans, no? Some of them because they were not anchored on a unified vision where the country wants to go. Kahit na may long-term plan, ano din hindi rin na-sustain.
In most other countries, including our Asian neighbors, so Malaysia, Vietnam, even China, meron silang tinatawag na, meron silang a long-term vision, like Malaysia 2020 noon, which was crafted sometime in the 90s. And then, sumunod na meron na silang first 5-year development plan, second 5-year development plan, third 5-year. Yes. Pero ganun pa rin, no? You allow each administration to have its imprint on that particular development program. And that's what we think is realistic given our political situation where talagang nagpapalit ang mga yan. This is not the first time that we've had a long-term plan before. During FVR time, naggawa siya ng long-term plan, and that was supposed to be his gift to the next administration. Hindi yon. Wala eh. Yun. Kasi nga kapag pag-plan, you're already talking about strategies. Very specific na yun eh. So, dapat may imprint na dun yung administration.
Moving forward, can you insist and NEDA insist that you have this vision so for the incoming administration?
We will be committing to this vision, but we need the help of the public. We need really a broad constituency for the vigilance, kasi sa inyo naman nanggagaling ang mandate nito eh.
Ms. Dana,
I wanted to clarify. When you said that 79% ng Filipinos wanted a simple and comfortable life, yung 79 ba yun, do they represent those who do not have that simple and comfortable life and so they're aspiring for it, or that's a combination of those who are happy where they are now? And can you tease out the figures? If they're a combination, would you know kung ilang percent ang...
Wala sa akin table na. Pero we will be teasing out all those figures. Lahat, itong mga to, puro raw data yan. Pero we have those are raw tables. Pero lahat ito na-analyze na ng ano yung mga, although the big result really is that 80% that already cuts across several socio-economic class. So mataas talaga na ang gusto is yung simple at maginhawang buhay.
I wonder if that's an indication of how much poverty there is.
No. It's like yung parang yung tanong kanina, you're letting the cart draw the horse. Baliktad.
At saka kasi it's a generalization. Iba yung gusto ng youth. And the figures ng youth will change yung percentage ng population, di ba? So I suppose these aspirations will change over time. Pero wala pa rin yan.
Yung changing over time na rin natin
Hindi, pero yung
malalaman.
at least we know kung ilang percent ng youth as of now. Kasi
Malalaman natin yan.
pag nag-generalize, nawawala yun eh.
Yes. The data is there.
Sir Melo.
Can I be more particular about occupation? 48% wish for a job that has enough salary for my needs. While lining up for the lunch, I heard several of the participants talking about this particular finding. And they said, there is no problem with the job, but it is the kind of job, will it be well-paying job, human enough, and decent? Because they mentioned that while you can earn as an employee, you may be contractual all your life. So given such a situation, there is no productivity because there is no social security. So how do we get this together? Thank you.
We need I think that can be we'll need to take a look closer at the data. Right now, that's the kind of information that we have. But I think there are several indications there about that sort of imply the importance of decent work and decent employment as far as the respondents are concerned.
Last two questions. Keith again.
Just a clarification po on the sampling. Kasi kanina sabi niyo, parang ang focus kay Dr. Larissa was focus on the marginalized.
For the FGs.
Yes, for the FGs. But the survey is representative of kahit yung mayayaman.
Margin of error?
Ron Calungsod.
Representation must be equal among classes.
Reflective of the population.
It will be sampling proportional to size kasi so reflective of the population. So may stratification in terms of the region, province, may enumeration ano din NCPs yan. Urban and rural, yan, may ganong representation.
Last question before we wrap this thing up.
Would you still include the OFWs and coastal communities?
Yung coastal communities, nasama na po siya sa FGDs. Kasi yun ang naging naging focus ng FGDs. With respect to the OFWs, the OFW families nakasama siya. First in the FGDs and probably also in the survey, but we have to look at the data. But we're also hoping that they will respond to our online campaign, online survey.
You conduct a forum with the OFWs and migrants, maybe you can get some inputs.
Masyado pong mahal yon. So
You promise to hold consultations, focus groups. And OFWs, considering that they are 11 million worldwide, they should be...
yes, correct. And we're thinking that the online survey will be the platform for them.
Sir, no definite plan yet on when another survey will be similar as this. 10 years later, what experience?
How much did the survey cost?
11.
11 million.
May third party ko ang natutulog dito. May third party na tumulong for this in-house.
The one who conducted the survey, you mean? It's the PSRC. It's a professional survey research firm.
So that will be it. Thank you for coming here in the press conference. And good afternoon for everyone. Thank you. And thank you, Secretary Esguerra and DDG Rose.